Hey you, do you like video games? How about when people remake games that you've already played into these tiny, stripped down versions for the world's best fantasy game console, the PICO-8? Then you are in the oddly specific right place. Here are 8 of my favorite PICO-8 demakes you can play for free that are wonderful and lovingly made recreations of their original games. First one I tried out, and the one that inspired me to make this video, was Hollow Knight, or Low Knight as it's called. Brilliant, wonderful, amazing. The first of many times I'd realized that these demakes work so well because the original titles have such a tight and simple premise. Even working with this small map, the creator packed so much Hollow Knight into this thing. The tricky platforming, annoying flying enemies, upgrades tucked out of the way, and perfectly spaced benches to offer you that desperately needed break for just a moment. This is Hollow Knight, but tiny, and you should definitely play it if you're a fan of the game. And if you're a fan of dying, there are a lot of spikes. Next up, World of Goo. Extremely simple idea. Build structurally sound bridges and towers out of goo in order to connect to the pneumatic pipe system and get things back up and running. Now, I don't really know how physics works, but this seems pretty impressive to me. Your whole structure can collapse or tip over without any warning if you make one wrong move, and seeing it happen in this colorful little 8-bit world is quite something. The PICO-8's color palette is simply perfect, by the way. These 16 colors can be used to capture so many moods, from vibrant forests, somewhat ominous sunsets, and whatever alien biome this is supposed to be. I'd love to see more levels with this one, although I suppose I could just go play World of Goo for that. Now, just like the original game, Fuzz, the Fez demake, is also full of cryptic secrets. I won't spoil any of that for you here, but it perfectly captures the magic of discovery I felt when first playing back in high school. I had absolutely no idea what I was getting myself into. Yeah, I did have to look up a guide plenty of times, but still an amazing game. This version is very cute. Gomez kind of flaps his arms and legs when he jumps, and overall it makes me want to go back and play the game. Really, all of these demakes make me want to do that, but it has been an especially long time since I've played Fez. Everything here works wonderfully in the PICO-8 format, and I'd highly recommend it if you're feeling nostalgic at all. Or if you want to punish yourself, try out Hexagon. I feel like this one may be harder than the normal version, but I also might just be bad at it. I do think that the whole pixel thing does mess with my accuracy. It was already bad enough trying to navigate these pulsating geometric shapes with completely straight lines, so adding in this extra layer of uncertainty about where exactly I am doesn't help me much. But yeah, this is straight up just Super Hexagon, so it's frustrating and addicting as can be. If you prefer your supers hot over Hexagon, SUPERHOT also somehow has been demade for PICO-8. Obviously, a lot more creative liberties had to be taken here as opposed to the previous game, but this is still SUPERHOT, just without the ability to move the camera around. The idea translates surprisingly well to this format. Combat is super punchy, seeing bullets freeze midair is just cool, and the death animation is pretty trippy. Again, I don't know how any of this programming stuff works, but the dev that created this version also worked on the original game and put this out as an April Fool's joke a few years ago. Well, joke's on them because this is super awesome. Man, I love video games. And we're not done just yet, oh no. Anyone remember this gem? I recall watching my cousins play Katamari when I was little, and it was just about the coolest thing ever. Turns out, it still is. Random objects drop from the sky, roll over them with your ball, make your ball bigger, repeat. The game's got some great music too, which, by the way, all the music and sound effects in PICO-8 games are made entirely within PICO-8. So the entire game is. No outside assets or files or whatever else that makes the process even more complicated and intimidating. Maybe this would be a great place for me to start learning game development. Nah, who am I kidding? I barely have enough free time as it is. And that's because I still have too many games to play, like Alone in Pico, the remake of Alone in the Dark. It's brilliant. Moving around is clunky as hell, and they still have that zombie in the attic that can't possibly be avoided unless you already know that you can move furniture around. Yes, Emily Hartwood does completely blend in with the walls of the house, and I honestly wouldn't have it any other way. To me, survival horror games like this, along with maybe platformers, are like the quintessential video games. Locked doors, hidden keys, booby traps. Game devs are so creative and talented and genius, but sometimes they're just plain evil. Steven's sausage roll, lovingly recreated solely to haunt me. Push these sausages around and grill them up. Oh, this level's made of like 12 squares. How hard could it be? Very. This game is evil. But I like how cute the demake is, so it gets a pass here. You want to know what the extremely evil description for the game is on Steam? A simple 3D puzzle game. That's it. They just forgot to mention how evil it is. But in all seriousness, yet another instance of a game with an extremely solid bottom line that can be broken down into a teeny tiny adventure with only a few colors and still be just as addicting and challenging as ever. I have a newfound appreciation for the PICO-8 now, and it goes way beyond just, hey, isn't that the arcade game in Celeste? It's amazing what humans have been able to create with it, and I'm sure that I'll be back with another video on the console soon. These games are just too fun.